Okay, so today I have a reaction video for you, a reaction to a Vegan Gains video uploaded recently to YouTube.
Alright, so I got the idea for this video because of an interesting encounter we had the other day at a restaurant.
Now the reason I'm making this video in the first place is because he and his wife Jasmine make some fairly outrageous claims that, if left unchallenged, may leave the impression that all vegans share these views. Now, in a nutshell, Richard and Jasmine were at a vegan restaurant in Toronto and seated near a family with 2 kids, one of whom, a 1-year-old, was taking a meltdown, an ugly situation for any parent, especially in a restaurant.
Yeah, what happened was 2 breeders...
2 breeders? That's charming.
...brought their children to a vegan restaurant with them.
So Jasmine decided to walk over to their table and confront the parents for not controlling their kid. Nothing could go wrong there, right?
Jasmine went over and told them to keep their kid under control, and then they started a big fight with us.
Now I warn you in advance, you may get triggered by some of the things Jasmine and Richard say in this video, but let's take a listen.
It's kind of my fault.
So right from the get-go, Jasmine admits she's the one responsible for the incident in the first place. But she says it like she's proud of herself, like the incident gave her a sense of power.
Their 1-year-old kid was screaming at the top of his lungs.
I couldn't, literally, Isaac has a real loud voice when we're eating out for his birthday. And he was yelling, and I literally couldn't hear a word he was saying.
Okay, so apparently it was the birthday of the 1-year-old who did what a lot of 1-year-olds love to do, take a meltdown in the worst places possible. Let's listen more.
Jasmine went over and told them to keep their kid under control.
All right. Right off the bat, recipe for disaster. If there's one thing you never do, it's confront or call people out on their parenting skills. And might I suggest the fight really begins when Jasmine decides to confront the parents, but still listening.
And they were the most self-entitled douchebags I've ever met.
Something tells me the other couple was thinking the exact same thing about you two.
And the lady's husband or whatever, I challenged him to a fight outside, and then after that, he kind of started acting more polite.
Richard, how old are you? Late 20s? I mean, it's one thing to challenge someone to a fight, but an entirely different matter when it's in front of their children. I find this reprehensible.
All they could say was like, it's a 1-year-old child. What do you expect? When I was 1 year old, I'm sorry, everyone was a child. I never tried screaming like that. And
Jasmine, the chances you remember when you were 1 year old are like 1,000,000,000 to 1.
And then all the mom could say is like, you're not a parent yourself. You don't know what it's like. Then they'll get fucking children if you can't keep them in check. You gotta be responsible. Is it that difficult to get a babysitter for 1 hour?
Yeah.
So exactly why can't they take their kids out to a restaurant? Restaurants are public places, guys. You and Richard could also stay home if you don't like noisy kids. Not to mention it was the kid's birthday. Loosen up. Look, I totally get how annoying noisy kids can be, but you're adults. Hopefully you've got some self-control to look past this.
Like, that's what I don't get. Most people are like, it has to be mine. It's not the same. Then you're just fucking selfish.
It's selfish egotism bullcrap. Yeah, so.
Like, what is it with having to pass on your genes? You're not special. You're not unique. There's like 8 billion of us. It's really not a special thing to get pregnant.
This is rich. There is just so much wrong here. Where do I start? First of all, calling people selfish for wanting to have children is a miserable thing to do. The way you two talk, it's dystopian. And Richard, may I ask, what was so special about the dog you and Jasmine had to purchase from Europe and have shipped across the Atlantic Ocean? And may I say that that's the one thing nearly every couple having children does say about getting pregnant and having a baby. It's very special and changes who they are, often for the better. All right, let's continue.
And that brings us to the topic of this video, being married without children. How are you enjoying it so far?
Well, I hate children, so what do you think?
All right, so there it is. She hates kids, and may I say she comes across as one of the most intolerant people I've seen on YouTube. And we all know how Richard feels about kids. So the couple with the annoying kid couldn't have chosen a more intolerant pair to sit across from in that restaurant that night.
Well, you don't have a life.
Yeah.
Because every time you go out, your children keep wanting attention, which is normal. They're fucking children.
Absolutely.
And they want you to spend your 500% of your attention to them and not to yourself.
Okay, didn't Jasmine just say that having kids is selfish? Let me play that back.
Like, having children is selfish. They want you to spend your like 500% of your attention to them and not to yourself, and not to yourself, and not to yourself.
Jasmine, what you just said is the literal definition of selfish, wanting everything to yourself. I'm beginning to think we're being punked in this video. They can't possibly lack this much insight. Richard and Jasmine, I want you to open a new window on your computer. Open Google, now type in the word irony.
Just fucking adopt.
Definitely.
We're overpopulated. Why the fuck do you feel so self-entitled to breed? Especially when you're vegan, when you're already aware of what the hell's going on with our planet.
Okay, hold on. Stay in your lane there, Jasmine. The problem is not population level. The issue has to do with how rich countries consume, which many predict will have to change to support a larger world population. And the other issue here is that technologies are always being developed to help us deal with scarcity issues. Stop being so negative, guys. Honestly, this comes across as sad and depressing.
So, vasectomy, absolute best way. I got a vasectomy.
Oh, I totally knew this was coming. So the video is a vasectomy propaganda video. It's like 2016 all over again. Remember this? Okay, check out this clip and tell me this doesn't completely blow your mind.
Why have I decided to have a vasectomy?
I want to talk about my boyfriend's vasectomy.
And that men get vasectomies. All men have to get vasectomies.
Any regrets on your vasectomy? When did you have it done?
When you get a vasectomy, no one can take advantage of you like that.
This is the face of vegan YouTube today. Is this okay with you? Is this how you want things to be? And this makes me think about some of you guys who have just recently gone vegan. People like David McIver from Scotland. David went vegan just a few weeks ago and is starting to check us out here on YouTube. David, may I just warn you in advance that there are members of the vegan social media elite who will talk crazy like this, but rest assured, we're not all like that. Please don't let Freely, Durian Rider, Vegan Gains, and That Vegan Couple scare you away. And when it gets too scary out there in the VYC, well, then you know you've always got hundreds of Plan Eats videos to counterbalance it all.
If I start screaming, I'd be sent out of the restaurant if they didn't shut up.
Yeah.
Why would that be any different for any other age?
Yeah, and
maybe because the kid is 1 year old? Come on, Jasmine. Have some compassion and understanding here, will ya?
do you want to clean diapers?
Huh?
We recently just got 2 motorcycles. You know, which are freaking expensive, and if we had children, we probably wouldn't be able to afford them.
Again, who's being the selfish one here?
Do you want to clean diapers, or do you want to ride motorcycles?
Not one of Richard's best videos. And this is our best, guys. Vegan Gains, our top scientific mind. I think we're doomed.
I like being able to play video games whenever I want.
Honestly, Richard, I can't blame you for wanting to claim your own time, but you can't possibly think everyone is racing home to play video games. Some people race home to see their kids. Many people love raising a family and want to spend all their time with their kids.
And I still, to this day, get people saying, when you're older, you're going to want to have children. I don't think so.
Richard, you're so young, you're too young to even know how young you actually are. People change over the course of their lives. If you change your mind about having kids, that's perfectly okay. This isn't a competition to see who can never change their mind the longest. Expect to change your mind on a lot of things as you get into your 30s and 40s and 50s. That's what life's about, my friend.
If you can't afford to adopt a child, don't have a child yourself.
Richard, who died made you God. Not everyone gets charity from patrons so they can eat out at expensive vegan restaurants. Just because someone doesn't have a lot of money doesn't mean they wouldn't make excellent parents. Your judgment's off all over the place here.
Yeah, and especially for women, you know, there's complications after the procedure, like...
No biting.
What, like loose, saggy skin?
No biting.
What, those big, disgusting stretch marks that some women get?
I really have no words here. Let me think of something. The only thing I can think to say here is that this has to be the most superficial goo-goo babble I've ever heard him say on his channel. Richard, hear me loud and clear. You and Jasmine will both one day have loose skin. You can't avoid it. But thankfully, you'll be mature enough then to handle it. And your values will have changed. And you may even find you want to be a papa to your very own flesh and blood. Don't get me wrong here, folks. I think adoption is an outstanding act of kindness and love. But nobody should do it out of a sense of guilt. And nobody should feel guilty for wanting to procreate. Richard, I promise you that none of us will get angry if you and Jasmine one day announce you want to have children of your own. Quite the contrary, my friend.
The human brain has evolved so quickly. Like, our head has gotten so huge so quickly. Like, our biology, like our physiology, hasn't adapted to cope with it. Like, women's vaginas aren't really large enough to be able to deal with it properly.
Richard, we need more from you here. You're who a lot of vegans go to for science. Maybe that needs to change. I don't know.
Like, that's what I don't get. Most people are like, it has to be mine. It's not the same. Then you're just fucking selfish.
It's selfish egotism bullcrap. Yeah, so.
Like, what is it with having to pass on your genes? You're not special. You're not unique. There's like 8 billion of us. It's really not a special thing to get pregnant.
Am I alone on this one, or are you getting glimpses of that vegan couple right here before your very eyes? Oh, the judgment. I think veganism is the new religion for some people, and it's making even me miss religion. Kind of like how we find ourselves missing George Bush now that the dumpster's in the White House.
Keep making those vegans and antinatalism gains.
All right, guys, there's the video for today. So please leave a comment. I love your comments, guys. They're so thoughtful, and whether you agree with me or disagree with me, I really love reading them, and I value your views on all the things that I talk about in my videos. If you haven't already, start following me today on Instagram and Twitter, especially Instagram. The links are down below in the description box. And I look forward to seeing you right back here in a few days' time for another super fresh video.